So hello everyone. So SOC is back with the first session of its intern chats series to help you navigate the internship season. Today we'll be focusing on the software profile, and we have among us four seniors from our own department: Devansh, Shubhi, Sandeepan, and Saurabh, who have secured an internship under the similar circumstances as us. So let's listen to them. What was their roadmap towards achieving this success? So, seniors, you can take over. Aman, please share the slides.
So first of all, hello guys. I'm Shubhi, and I'm currently interning at Edgeworth. So and with me I have Devansh, Saurabh, who are also interning at Edgeworth, and I have Sandeepan, who is interning at TrueMind Software Systems. So let's begin the chat. I hope that you get some useful insights from this session. Can you next slide please? So why software? Uh, एक सॉफ्टवेयर इंटर्नशिप क्यों चाहिए? सॉफ्टवेयर में ही क्यों करना है? एसपीओ में बहुत सारी प्रोफाइल होती हैं. देयर इज सॉफ्टवेयर, देयर इज कंसल्टिंग, एंड देयर इज क्वांट एंड एवरीथिंग. बट व्हाई सॉफ्टवेयर? सो let's start. Why do you want to everyone who is present here, I think they would I think they would have thought about taking internship with software profile. So let's start. Why do you want to take intern in software profile? Let's keep this session interactive.
Guys, speak up.
Guys,
I do want to go in software profile. घर वालों को
घर वालों को भी कुछ बताना है. सो बेसिकली मैं अपना बताऊँ तो मैंने तो सॉफ्टवेयर इसलिए चूज किया बिकॉज मतलब आई प्रिपेयर्ड फॉर टू प्रोफाइल्स मेनली. वन वाज क्वांट एंड अदर वन वाज सॉफ्टवेयर. सो क्वांट की कंपनीज आना बंद हो गई थोड़े टाइम के बाद. जो आती थी वो उसमें ज़्यादातर सिविल के लिए खुलती नहीं थी. सो आई फोकस्ड ऑन सॉफ्टवेयर, एंड देन with software I ended up with Edgeworth. So it was a good decision if I look back into. So basically what to expect in a software engineering internship is you will have to design algorithms and flowcharts. You will be given some projects, and you will have to work upon it. For that you will have to research on some algorithms, design your own workflow, and you will have to write clean and efficient code with good documentation also. And you will have to work upon integration. You will have to look into a lot of programs, softwares, etc. Basically that is all it is. Let's move ahead. Next slide. Next slide. Devansh, please.
Yeah, hi. So, hi everyone. My name is Devansh, and I'm currently interning at Edgeworth. So, there are plenty of software companies that come for internships. It's mainly software companies that come, and yeah, of course, some of them are only open towards software branches. But I think there's still plenty of opportunities to get an internship. These companies, they don't have a particular branch bias. Like Oracle and SAP Labs, they consider all branch students, and they have taken branches from other non-software branches as well this season. So I would tell you to not focus on what companies are opening to you or not. Just prepare your best, and like be it on campus or off campus, you will like surely get an internship if you prepare well, you are sincere and like honest. Yeah. So, next slide. Saurav, you're taking over.
Yeah. So, hi everyone, I'm Saurav Agrawal. I'm currently interning at Edgeworth with Shubhi and Devansh. So, what are the preparation checkpoints that you should keep in mind? So, uh, there are three things. You should have a well-rounded resume. Uh, so, in resume, you should have points such as the projects you would have done, or some other courses that you would have done online, or let's say you have done ESO 207, those type of courses. For coding skills, you should have a lot of practice, and that is all I can say about that. So and interview skills. So for interview skills, you should have soft skills about how to like talk with the interviewer and all, and also you need to have like good grasp on the concepts that are being asked by the interviewer. And also you should what you should focus in the interview is answering what you only know, and not trying to like um, go into things that you do not know. So for example, the interviewer asks you something and you do not know very well about it, so be upfront about it, and don't try to like go too deep into like the things you do not know about. So next slide please. So basic prerequisites. Acha. Like generally, software-based companies offer a large chunk of opportunities among all profiles. So most of the profiles that you'll see in SPO internship, so most of them will be software-based. There will be different roles. Like some of them will be purely machine learning based, or some of them will be purely web development based. But most of the profiles will be from the software. Also, many of the companies do not have a shortlisting process via resume. So some of the companies will still have it, but those companies will be open to all. So you'll have to, basic like you can apply in those companies anyways. So CPI cutoff. What should be the CPI cutoff for applying? So 7 plus CPI cutoff helps, but 8 plus is like a very good thing to have. And so generally आप लोग में से बहुत लोगों की 8 प्लस तो नहीं हो पाई होगी, तो you'd be thinking कि अब क्या करें, 8 प्लस तो है नहीं. So don't like feel down. 7 plus is 7 plus and 8 plus are just numbers, and those doesn't mean that कि आपकी अगर 7 plus से कम है CPI तो you will not be getting an intern. So good software skills will still help you get an intern, even if you are even if you have a CPI that is below 7. So having ESO 207 on your CV isn't a necessary prerequisite correspondingly, but knowing the concepts of DSA is often obvious requirement. So in your interviews and in your test, you will be needing the concepts of data sets and algorithms for moving forward, and those will be helping you a lot for your preparation. Knowing OPS concepts is a plus point, because ops are easier to grasp and need less practice compared to DSA, and given as in interviews over other candidates. So ops basically object-oriented programming is ops. Some of you might know this, but ops से तुम्हें फायदा ये होगा कि कई companies specifically look for people who have a good grasp of ops concept. So that will give you an edge over your batchmates when you're in an interview, or when you're sitting for a test. So that would be a good skill to have. Also, for your resume, mention some good projects on your resume, and make sure that you know every point you have mentioned in your resume. So don't like mention some points that you do not know to try to show off, and those things. So also after you have your first draft of your resume, so connect with your seniors and ask them for feedback on your resume. So there might be some things that you might miss out, on your resume. So you won't know about them until you have talked with your seniors and all. So that would be our suggestion. Next slide, please. So now comes the main thing, how to start with programming or coding. So like let's say कि अगर तुमने अभी तक start नहीं किया है, तो where should you start with? So start with learning the basics of C++ and STL. So there are very good videos on YouTube which can help you get started with it. So search on YouTube about STL, and that will help you gain some basic knowledge about that. Also start with learning data structures and algorithms. So many of you might not have done ESO 207. So ESO 207 is not a prerequisite for sitting on internship. So what you can do is you can start preparing about data structures and algorithms online on InterviewBit or some other website. So that would help you with the concepts. And for practice you can start with InterviewBit. So InterviewBit has section-wise topic-wise questions. So those help you get skilled in one topic or another. So that will help you with your topic-wise preparation when you, let's say, you want to practice DP or graphs or binary trees. So that will be more helpful. And once you have gone through InterviewBit, so once you have finished all the topics from InterviewBit, you can start practicing on LeetCode or CSCS website. LeetCode have a lot of problems, or so there are different difficulty levels on LeetCode. So you can start with, let's say, medium or medium difficulty questions once you have done basic preparation. And in the CSCS website also is a very good problem site. So you can go there also to have a look on the problems, different types of problems. Also, guys, I'd suggest try giving contests on Code Forces and Code Chef. So Code Forces and Code Chef will help you get in, develop your aptitude on for coding. So the questions that you will have in Code Forces and Code Chef, so those wouldn't be directly helping you in internship tests or internship interviews, but they would help you develop an aptitude for the skills that you will need for solving other questions. So that is something you can do, like giving contests on Code Forces and Code Chef. Also, if you have more time after these steps, so you can also give test series from P Club. So archive test series, P Club has started. So yeah. Next slide. Sandeepan.
So hi guys, I'm Sandeepan. So moving to the after test part comes the most deciding part of a selection process, that is the interview. So basically you can divide this into two processes, before the interview and during the interview. I will be covering both of them now. So the GFG and LeetCode, they generally have these interview specific sections from various companies like Google, Adobe, etc. So I would suggest you to go through all of them because they are very much essential for your practice, because the candidates who have given interviews in those companies, they share the interview experiences and they were very much helpful for me, and I think they would also help you before your interviews. Also, basically, the questions that are asked in the interviews are very much simpler compared to the ones that you give during the tests. So basically, they only ask the basic questions like give the algorithm for the BFS or the DFS, or some matrix multiplication or problem from DP. So I would suggest you to practice those basic questions and be clear with the concepts of DSA. So here the main thing is revisiting the interview bit before the interview day will help you mostly. And now moving to the interview step. During the interview, whenever the interviewer gives you a particular question of coding, for example, let's say he asks you to find the shortest distance between one step to the other. So let's say, so basically after he gives you the problem, I would suggest you to speak out the methods that you have in your mind. So in here, basically you have to screen share your screen, and he'll be giving you a notepad or a hacker rank link where you have to code up your problem. So during this process, I would suggest you to speak up your mind, like whatever you are having in your mind regarding the process. Like you'll be starting from this step, moving to that step, because this basically helps the interview see like what thinking process are you having right during that time. And also, like during the process, let's say you are stuck in some step, or if you are doing some step incorrectly, they can give you a hint or can also correct it during the process so that you can move to the solution quickly and in an efficient manner. So yeah, this is a very important step for the same. Also, apart from coding, they can ask you any other resume short specific process, like anything regarding your project or POR or any of the courses. So it's very important to know your resume in depth. So yeah, next slide, please. So I will be speaking some more points regarding the same. So for the civil people, the fifth sem is generally the most hectic one. During our time, we had 61 credits. This was the highest for any of the SEMs that we had till now. So it would be very, also during your time, it would be offline. So I think it would be very much maybe difficult for you to, let's say, juggle between your assignments, labs, quizzes, and also giving interview tests and interviews. So it's very much essential for you to keep your calm and manage your priorities for the same. Let's say for the month of August, I would suggest you to give, let's say, 90% of your time to the interview or the test process, and keep the next 10% of the time for ACADS. This is a efficient process for many of us. You can maybe shift according to your priorities. Another important thing is I would suggest you practice competitive programming in a group. Let's say giving contests together or solving the interview problems, because you might be having seen the interview problems. They have this time limit where if you code up the solution in the fastest time, you get the maximum points. So if you practice those problems in a group, it becomes very much interactive as well as interesting, and also helps you to learn a lot. Uh, Also, it's important to revisit certain concepts before the interview. Like there are some algorithms which, if you're not able to, let's say, understand, I would suggest you to maybe just like read close, let's say, because they are important. Uh, if you want, I can share you some of those resources with you later on after this session. So yeah, the thing is, clearing the test is the hardest part of the process. As I said, the interview questions are generally easier. So the clearing the test is the most important part. Maybe it might juggle between you, like clearing the interviews may seem the hardest part for you, but basically the trend is like this. So I would suggest you to, for this month, the June and July months, I would suggest you to practice the coding questions as much as possible if you are targeting the software profile. And for the interview process, I will suggest you to keep, let's say, at least 1 week before the same, so that you can brush up your concepts, because whatever things that you include in your resume, I believe you might have a good hold over the same. So I think if you just revisit it just some 4 5 days before your interviews, that should help. Also, if you're not able to make it in the first month or the second month of the intern drive, I would suggest you not to lose heart, because there will be phase one and phase two till the month of May. The SPO will be giving enough intern opportunities for you. So just don't think about one messed up opportunity that you like coded up one solution wrong or miss one part of the algorithm. I would suggest you to learn from your mistakes and improve it during the next interview, next test or anything. Uh, Also, whenever you give the test for several companies, I suggest you to practice those questions that you were not able to do during the test, because many questions will be repeated during some test or the other. For example, it also happened during our time that some questions from Uber were repeated in Sprinkler, or some of them were repeated in Oracle. So it's always a good idea to practice those problems. So, and this is the obvious part. Feel free to contact any of your seniors for any tips, suggestions, or help. So, okay, next slide, please. we'll be moving with our insights. So I was sharing my insights with the True Minds process. They first of all had a resume shortlisting process. CPI of 7.5 and above helped us for the shortlisting. And there was no test round, there was a direct interview round for the same. And first of all, I was asked this particular basic hash map question of finding frequency of elements in an array. This question you can find in your interview bit or lead code. This is a very basic question. So yeah. Then later on, I was asked my proficiency between DSA and OOPS. So I chose OOPS because I was very much comfortable with the same. So in that, they asked the difference between encapsulation and data abstraction with a coding problem reference. So they first of all asked the basic difference between the two, and they asked me to share some particular code from which I can explain the difference. So yeah, I would suggest you to practice OOPS through some. There are some websites like W3 Schools or GFG also where you can practice coding problems through OOPS, etc. Also, I had HSO 201. This course we have done in the fourth sem. So they asked me the types of distribution, like there were Poisson distribution, Bernoulli distribution, etc. So I asked this basic question for the same. Then we moved to the basic HR question like why True Minds, why did I choose software over civil code? And there are many HR questions which I suggest you to practice one day before your interview round. This is the easy part, but I would suggest to not ignore this part because uh, this is the ultimate round of a selection process. So at the end, 6 students got selected in his company. So yeah, that's it from my side. I hand over to Devansh now.
Yeah, next slide. Hi. So yeah, in Edgeware, we initially there was a resume shortlisting, but yeah, it was pretty random, and like the HR don't have a lot of time, so this one was I think branch based. They basically selected students from 4 branches like CSC, Bhatti, Mech, and Civil, and yeah, it was a very random process. And then there was a coding test. It had I think about three. It had 3 questions, and if you were able to do 2 or 3 of them, you were shortlisted for the interview. And the interview was of about 1 hour, and it was like it covered many different domains. I was asked questions related to DP, binary search, and like these questions, they were pretty standard. They were either taken from interview bit or lead code. And then like oops is pretty important in these interviews because you get asked a lot from them, all the like types of the type of the properties of oops and real world examples. Time complexity, for each question that you solve, they ask you to like check the time complexity whether you could have a more optimal method or not. And also they all the projects or that you mentioned in your resume, they are you have to know like in pretty depth about them. Like I had a project with the robotics club. It revolved around ML and NLP. So yeah, I was asked pretty in depth about that, and like if you don't prepare well, you'll get stuck there, and like it doesn't have a good reflection on you. And then the puzzles, they are also like pretty standard. You go to this website called Brainsteller. It has a lot of puzzles, and like all of the interviewers, they generally pick 1 or 2 puzzles from this site and they give it to you as it is. So it helps to like solve a complete whole Brainsteller set. And then for HR questions, there's also standard set. Why software over sale is I why software over civil is something I think you will get asked a lot, because for all core branches they ask this question to everyone. And then I had basically 2 PORs. One was I was in the Technically core team, and I was also academic mentor for ESC 101. So I think they asked me questions related to both of them, like what were the challenges you face and what would have you done better and some stuff like that. So yeah, that was pretty much it. I think next slide. Yeah, so I think I saw one question in the chat about resume making. I think like you should start making a resume from now, because SPO, I think it has till 31st of you have to submit a resume by the 31st of July. So you have pretty much 1 month, and then you make your first draft, and then like you give it to some senior, he'll give some feedback. So it takes a lot of time. You should start making them from now.
As for the first draft deadline, like I would seriously suggest that 15 July, you consider it that you at least prepare a first draft by 15th of July. Don't go late than that.
Yeah, if you have any other question, put in the chat box.
You can unmute and ask, or you can write in the chat box.
Like, how is the experience regarding getting shortlisted for the interviews? Like, considering that you are doing decent in the test, so is it still biased on the basis of the department? And like, usually, how long did it take for you to get shortlisted for interviews?
I
बहुत
think
चीज़ें होती हैं.
you
Yes,
go ahead.
Devansh. Okay.
You
So
go ahead.
बहुत चीज़ें होती है इसमें देखने के लिए. सो बायसनेस यस रहती है. बायसनेस बहुत ज़्यादा रहती है ब्रांचेस के रिगार्डिंग. So but there are companies who are which are open to all, so you'll still be able to apply on many of the companies. So चीज़ ये रहती है कि many companies still see your resume. So if you don't have a good resume, even if you have a let's say pretty good if you even if you did pretty good on that test, so they might not select you. So that is something you should keep on mind. So I'll share with you my experience with Cisco. So I was selected for Cisco interview, but in the interview, so the interviewer wanted so the Cisco was specifically wanted networking and OS concept. So I did not know those concepts, so I was rejected from it. But what they wanted before that interview was that कि हम टेस्ट में अच्छा कर रहे हो. So like कुछ companies होती है, they will see both your interview and test and resume. But कुछ companies will only see your test results, so they will not be biased towards like which branch you are from. So you'll still be getting shortlisted if you are doing very good on the tests.
Yeah, I think many big companies they like, or you take for Oracle example. Like I was selected for Oracle, and they had 3 rounds. I got through 2 rounds, and I was like eliminated in the last round. But they didn't have a particular branch wise because they did take students from I think chemical and mechanical and also. And for SAP Labs, they had a test, and for the interview they had the shortest about 5 students, and I think none of them were from CSE. I think if I remember correctly, and in the end they took a chemical student. So I think yeah, branch wise is there, but if you prepare well, the opportunities will open for you.
Okay, thank you.
I think in
Okay.
software role, PORs don't really matter much. They basically judge you more on your skill set and all. POR, I think for HR on it is good, but it doesn't really hold that much weight in my opinion.
It is
It's only
always like
yeah, you can speak.
I was saying like it is always good to have a POR, but as far as software roles are concerned, like you don't need like if you don't have a POR, then it is like fine.
Yeah, just only a talking point in your interviews. So if you don't have it, it won't affect much in your interviews.
No more doubts, guys? When does Edgework come? So Edgework came, I think, around in
I think in October,
October.
right?
October last
Yeah.
month.
Yeah, it came in October, but the process was very long, so it took about I think 1.5 months for the whole process
Yeah,
to be completed.
they had a test and then like they did the interviews after 1 month, I think.
Yeah. So uh, that was pretty delayed. So if you guys do not have any question, I think we can share how we prepared for our internships. And that will help you gain some insights. So I'll share mine. So how I started was I did some competitive programming around in March and April. from code forces. So that was very basic stuff. So ज़्यादा नहीं किया मैं, but around let's say 1 or 2 hours a day I gave to code forces. And in May I did a project under Professor Veena Bansal. So with the projects I continued preparing DSA concepts and started on interview bit. So I did DSA in fourth sem, so that was a boost for me. But even if you do not, if even if you have not done DSA yet, so you can still continue with uh, mm, uh, your preparation online. So DSA concepts you will find a lot of material online, so you can continue with those. Or May, I'll say कि this time of June and July, you will get a lot of time. This is a lot of time for you to still start your preparation if you have not started, and continue with interview bit. And so I continued with interview bit around till August or August, and then I was back to code forces. I gave some time to code forces, and the rest of the time I continued with my semester preparations. So that's all.
Okay, which topics are most important with respect to coding tests? So I would say like the most asked topics are usually range from DP. So like if you do well with DP and like there are some like most are and DSA concepts, then I think you are good to go.
Think yeah, you should like prepare DP very well because the questions usually are tough. It is like a tough concept, and I think in interviews it gets asked a lot. So you should prepare that very well.
Yeah, mostly DP and graphs. These two are the most important.
IB questions are very time taking sometimes that affects my daily learning. Okay. So like you will have to like manage your time. What can we say? But like uh,
think you can start with few. I think there's a time range given in interview bit, the time average time taken to solve that. You can start with the problems which are like pretty easier to solve to get a basic grasp of the concept. Then you can move on to the like more difficult ones.
and like IB questions, like a good thing for IB is that you can find all the range of questions. So like you can set a daily time limit and like you can start with the like you can at least try to complete all the easy questions, and then as you progress, as you move ahead with your practice, you will be able to solve more questions in that given time.
And if you have like a conceptual doubt related to that like particular DSA algorithm, then like you can refer to GFG, and there are many like plenty of YouTube tutorials as well.
Also, in interview bit, you must have seen the below section where there's the solution discussion and the problem discussion, etc. So I suggest you to go through the solutions. Means there will be 20 users coming up with 20 different solutions. So I suggest you to go through all of them and maybe pick up your best one that you find easier to understand, because it also like allows you to go through several types of problems, approaches for the problem, and also it improves your thinking, like it improves your it broadens your thinking, like how many types of way you can think for a particular problem. So yeah, that definitely helps. And same for lead code, there do have the solution discussion part. So I suggest you, if you are like stuck in one problem or the other, you can definitely visit. Means in my case, I definitely visited those discussion part, and looked through 4 or 5 solutions for the same, and that definitely helped me to come up with better approaches for the next problem or the other. So yeah, that definitely helps.
Like also try to keep a list of all the problems that you like struggled in or didn't understand, so you can like revisit them later when preparing for interviews and all. That also helps a lot.
Okay, any other questions?
What if somebody is not aiming for an software profile role, and what level of coding they should?
Like if you're not aiming for a software profile role, like if you are going for data science, then you should know like basic coding, and like you should know SQL, and you should know pandas and numpy and all that stuff. Like if you are going for a consulting role, then then also a you should have like some peak points, some like good PORs or like leadership stuff on your resume. So you will have to specially prepare a resume for that.
Yeah, like one problem in that is like consulting companies don't, like there are very few that come for internships. Mostly are software and like data science based, and then like there comes the business analyst and stuff. For I don't think for business analyst you require a lot of coding. You like just SQL and all will do fine for that.
For business analyst, you also need to like have a grasp on data science and business analyst internship. You need to have a grasp on your HSO concept. So like I would suggest that you go through that book, 50 problems of probability, or and practice the quizzes on brainsteller. That would be enough.
Yeah, there were some non-SD companies like Edelweiss and Abinbev. They had coding problems, but the coding problems were very much simpler compared to the software company ones. So I would suggest that interview level problems are sufficient for those companies. For SD ones, I would suggest apart from interview bit and lead code, I would suggest you to go through code forces or code chef problems because I would suggest, means according to me, those were reflecting a level of coding problems that test during the test the test had. So yeah. So the peak up is that the peak up
At
test that
what
they have.
level?
Uh, what level?
Like by this you mean definition, right?
At what level do we have knowledge of HSO 201? Only
Like
the
just
concept.
definition won't help. Like you should know how to, like you should know the concepts and how to solve them, because I think yeah, they do
Exactly.
ask probability questions.
Go
Yeah,
through
like
the
in
newsletter site once, like you would get an insight on the type of questions that are asked. And I would suggest, like, if you just have the bookish knowledge, it would not be enough. You should know how to solve the problems.
yeah, like in American Express, they ask problems related to probability and statistics. So I suggest to go through the problems definitely. Your findings, you might find some problems in prep leaf, so you can go through them. And also, ANC would be sharing resources, or like they will be having some or the other collaboration with organizations, so you can follow them or subscribe to them for the same.
And like that book 50 challenging problems with probability, I think like that helps a lot because it also helps you to clear your concepts, and like they questions do get asked from them.
How to start
What is,
programming at end of first year? Are Coursera courses recommended?
I mean, there
So,
is no harm if you can go through the
yeah,
Yeah, like
courses.
people do like coding blocks courses or like code
Uh,
ninja courses, so like there's no harm in doing that.
I
And the
think
main
like the
concept
end
is
of
to clear your concepts for the same. If you are able to clear concepts through Coursera or GFG or even through ESO 207, that would suffice. I would say.
And at the
what is
end of first year, like you would have done your ESC 201, so like you ESC 101, so like you can go through those slides, also revise the concepts, and then start directly with the problems. They help. Yeah,
what is the
sir.
right time? What is the right time for jump from code forces to lead code or interview it?
From code forces to lead code and interview bit. So like all of us had different preparation journey. As for me, like I directly started with interview bit, so like I would not be able to comment on it. Sandeep.
Like basically, people jump from lead code to code forces. You're asking the opposite. So there is no particular thing as such. You can do even either code forces or you can skip code forces to do just lead code or interview bit. Uh, Provided that you practice the problems efficiently and practice all types of problems. So yeah, that definitely helps. And also the P Club, they will be giving you test series for the same. I suggest you to like attempt those test series. They Means basically they have the problems from past years, so that gives an idea of the type of question that comes during the test. So that definitely helps. So
How many languages we can learn for top MNC companies?
So you need to know just one language, like you should be very comfortable with one languages, but like knowing more than one languages helps sometimes. Like if you are preparing for two roles, like you also want to go in quant, so they only ask you to code in Python. So C++ and Python are like fine.
Like you should make sure that you know like in-depth knowledge of at least one language.
Yeah, that is important. Okay, does it make a difference if I do a proper certified course to prepare DSA or just prepare from online open source sites? Speaking as a fresher.
like
So,
as we said that ESO 207 or proper certified DSA course isn't a necessity, provided that you have the knowledge of DSA or coding. So yeah.
knowledge is more important. Even if you mention on your resume that you finished this particular course from Coursera or Udemy on DSA, I don't think like that point has any much value. So like, why go for that? You can just go through the open source sites available.
But yeah, like if you aren't able to, like from the open source sites, you aren't able to understand it correctly, then I think you can do a course because like people do like DSA courses at the end of first year. So you can also try it. It's basically up to you, like whatever makes you understand it in a better way.
Yeah, like there will be several resources for DSA. So means there will be GFG, there's ESO 207, there would be Hacker Earth. So there's so many sources, you can choose any one of them and complete them diligently. So that would help.
In second year, we do internship or preparation further.
In second year, if you can secure an internship, then it is very good. Otherwise, like most of the people, they do either a project and with internship preparation or like internship with internship preparation. So, like if you can score an internship, it's really nice. It will also help you learn something good.
Quant companies, I think only a few companies are open to all, but they mostly recruit from I think several branches.
Like there are some, like there was American Express, they recruited from civil also, and
American Express was data analyst. So I think there was only
I think JP
attendance.
Morgan had a person from
JP
chemical.
Morgan.
JP Morgan was there. Means there will be very few companies for
And in
quant.
the second phase, there was World Quant, so they recruited mostly people from civil.
Yeah, like provided
Which
you
one?
wait till the
Which one?
second phase.
World Quant.
Not quant.
I think like GS and all are also open for all, but they mostly recruit from Circuitel. They have I think one or two from mechanical.
Optiver is also open for
Optiver is open to all, yeah, but
Optiver
I think
is open
Optiver
for
has a thorough process. It has like basically a first round and then a
They
second
had
round.
they
So
had a
they
four
like
had,
rounds.
I
yeah,
remember they
so
had 3 rounds, and like the first round was basically like normal game sort of round, so like it was fun to give that, and the second round they had like basic probability questions and mostly more of the games. The third round was proper like quant round in which you had questions and like interviews and stuff.
like for Optiver, like I had cleared the 3 rounds, then I had like a GD, which was a like a market making game. I think I messed up a bit on that in the GD, but I think at the end they only recruited from circuit branches.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, the competition will be so much during the day one that ultimately the circular people they have an advantage of some way or the other. So
But like,
means there is always a probability to clear their rounds being a non-CM student.
do give the Optiver interview. Like I would suggest everyone to give it. It was like very unique in itself, different from all the other interviews.
Yeah, the thing
Sorry,
was
different from all the other tests.
they didn't even have a CPA shortlisting criteria. So
Yeah.
I think JP Morgan they already had they didn't specifically come. They I think they recruited earlier.
So
Yeah, the
basically for JP Morgan, they only had a test. After that, they almost vanished because the thing is, they came for day two, and the shortlist they had, the maximum students were from day one, and day one people already left. So and then they only had some 2 3 students left for interview, so they left from the process. So
As per the selection criteria, I think the only requirement was CPI above 7. That's all.
एक क्वेश्चन मुझे था कि सेकेंड ईयर में अगर कैंपस इंटर्नशिप लेनी है तो उसकी कितनी अच्छी अपॉर्चुनिटीज मिल सकती है हमें?
second year summer, like for second year summer, you can try for off campus. Yeah, for second year summer, you have to try
मतलब
for
yeah,
कितनी
there's a
अच्छी
side.
अपॉर्चुनिटीज मिल जाएगी जैसे कैंपस के बराबर का जैसे कुछ कैंपस में तो आते हैं तो अच्छे ऑप्शन होते हैं लेकिन बाहर कैसे सेलेक्ट करें कि ये वाले इसमें जाना चाहिए उसको ट्राई करना चाहिए वो सब
सो लाइक सबसे पहले तो लाइक कंपनी के रिव्यूज देखो नेट पर कि क्या है, वहाँ के जो अपने उनके एम्प्लॉयज है उनकी टेस्टिमनी देख सकते हो. नेक्स्ट थिंग यू शुड सी स्टाइपेंड एंड लोकेशन and the kind of work they are doing. If you find those things all right, then there is like no harm in going ahead with them.
या गॉट इट
So regarding this, what should I do to get a good internship and also get good placement? So basically, I think CPA is the most important thing. If you are able to maintain a CPA of 8 and above, that's a very good thing because it almost opens the opportunity for all the companies for you. Secondly, for good internship, I've covered the good internship part. Basically, it depends on what profile are you targeting. For software, as we said, practicing problems, giving contests, and all that definitely helps. Having a good resume also helps. For not just software, but other companies, data, science, etc. Uh, Good resume is maintained by, I think, doing good projects or many other uh, doing courses when there's so many courses which you can do. So that's what's the good internship part. For placements, I think as an extension to the internship part, having a good internship helps. Good CPA is definitely a necessity. What is the average CPA I have to maintain? It's 8 and above very much helps. 7 is the bare minimum, I would say. But 8 and above is the best thing that you can have in an internship or placement part.
If you like, there is not like don't worry much about CPA, but like if you have a CPA above 7, you can get shortlisted for most of the companies. Yeah, like CPA above 8 is like then you will get shortlisted for all.
If you're trying for a something and all, then you are necessity like level should be also like then 6, let's say, or head code that helps.
I think our fifth sem was very different because I think you
Our
will have offline labs as well, and we didn't have a lab, so that helped a lot for
We had
preparation.
online everything. So
Also,
For
as far
his,
as like fifth sem is concerned, for you specifically, I would try to say that you complete your at least basic preparation before the fifth sem starts. Like you should have knowledge of at least all the basic concepts of programming, so that like you can, even if you are not able to give much time to that, you are able to solve some of the questions that are asked. In second year, which will be better between internship or open source like GSOC? GSOC, if you can get it.
I mean, there's no such thing like better thing. Like anything you do, if you do it well, it helps in your
we can
resume.
like also try for my tax and stuff. They are like
Yeah, if you are
they look
interested
pretty
in
good
that
on
area,
resume.
Okay,
I think.
basic concepts like basic concepts would be like try to complete all the topics on interview bit and like go through DSA and like oops concept and some of the DP programming, and that would be enough. What should I learn to get a good internship? So, if you want to get an internship in software profile, start with DSA, move up to DP, and like go through OOPS, and that will be all. What knowledge we have. I would say like all of us are introduced to basic programming in ASC 101. You can build upon that. What is the scene for off-campus intern? So, like getting an off-campus intern, that too with a good profile is like if you want to get an off-campus intern, you will have to like start searching uh, early on, like start searching in the month of December or January. Okay, my voice is not clear. So, is it clear now?
Yes, Shubhi, it is clear.
So, like what I was suggesting was like if you want to go for an off-campus intern, start searching early on, like in December and in month of January, and like approach people on LinkedIn. And for the off-campus intern, like one thing you should keep in mind is like you should like research the company well. Is the company doing what you in the field what you want to do? And the second thing is like go to the testimony of its existing employees to see like what is the work culture there. Besides that, like getting an off-campus intern is possible, and like some of the people like they bag really good off-campus opportunities. So like there are plenty, and like you can go through Internshala or like sites like that to go through to like explore them. So any other questions? How long have you all been doing CP as for initial days? How it happens that we do some questions and after a few days they take same amount of time they took in starting. So like all of us started a bit like at different times. As for me, I started pretty late. I started in the month of June because I contracted COVID during May, so I was sick most of the time. Like, and like with as you do practice like the same questions start like as you do more practice the concepts become more clearer and like you are able to do like more questions in the same amount of time. Saurabh Sandeepan he can answer like more.
Like there's not a fixed time to start coding. Like in my case, I started coding during before the fourth sem in the winters. So although I did coding very less during the time, I peaked during the summers, second year summers. So yeah, is there a list of projects? So list of project which is most important for placements. It depends on which profile are you targeting. For software, there is nothing like fixed. If you do some web development projects, it may help. Like there was a company called No Broker, so it came and I think it shortlisted people who had some web dev experience. So it was an exception, but although there is no particular such thing like having a particular project preference for software. So yeah, I would say maybe if you explore WebD, that may help, but there's no, as I said, like there is no particular resume shortlisting for software apart from CPI. Uh, from when we start receiving on-campus interviews. So I think then your time it will start by July last week. The same for our case too.
Yeah, by the first week of August, like I think the day one, day two, and all will be over. Can we prepare for both like software and web? Yes, you can. Like there is no like particular intern for web development through SPO. Most of them are software profiles. So like if you are preparing for software, you are like also preparing for web in a way.
Yeah, there would be few companies like there was a company called Fundwave. It came for full stack development. So such profile-based companies, like such specific companies, might be there. But for the software, there is only one thing: like you have to prepare DS and code. We can share our resume definitely.
Yeah.
You can contact us after this session. We will share it with you. End of third sem or third year.
But like at the end of fourth sem, I think like not after also fourth sem and summer after second year summers, that would be the plan.
So if you people don't have any doubt, can we uh, close this meeting?
How much coding knowledge core companies ask? So this time, like we didn't have, you don't have any core companies in internship. You have like one or two, and like they don't require any coding knowledge, which are open. It's like even like if you have like what do you mean by core companies? There are non-civil core companies, and then there are management firms like techno-managerial firms like ITC, which don't open for civil. There was PNG, which was open, and then there was um, I guess only PNG was there in phase one that was open for civil and techno-managerial. So yeah, they don't require coding knowledge.
I think there are no more doubts. So I would like to thank all the seniors for this great session. Uh, Thank you for joining and sharing your insights for the interns. Thank you, seniors.
Thank you for this session.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye.